Hi, everyone in Westminster. My name's Andrew, as you all know. I graduated from Brown University at the beginning of May. Right now, I'm living in Boston. I start my job on July 12th, so I have 1 month left before work starts, and I will be doing software engineering. Really, what I feel like my purpose and mission is right now, at least, is kind of creating things that enable other people to reach out to like communities and to individuals and improve their life. So for example, like the company I'm going to work for specializes in creating like databases for healthcare systems. So I think there's definitely a feeling of purpose in the sense that if I'm able to create some product that allows healthcare systems to function better, that's going to indirectly improve people's lives and enable better healthcare, better outpatient care, all around, hopefully better livelihoods through that.
Hi, I'm Rosa Kirk-Davidoff. So I've just graduated from Williams College with a degree in environmental studies. And I am heading off tomorrow, actually, well, yesterday, if this is on Sunday, to go to Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I'll be working for the Southeast Conservation Corps for 6 months. I really want to work in environmental work and in public lands. And I was interested in doing some sort of outdoor hands-on work right after I graduated college so that I could get some more experience working in the lands that I want to protect. Well, so halfway through my my process of writing my thesis, I came across this concept which is called relational values, which is something that like environmental scholars have come up with in the last 10 years or so to talk about the idea that we value nature based on what our relationship with it is. And that was something that was really exciting for me to learn about because it was something that I realized I've always been thinking about. I mean, I wrote my college entrance essay basically about for human relationships with nature. And that's something that I feel a sense of purpose around is about helping people be in right relationship with the non-human world around them, and trying to find ways that I can sort of support those healthy relationships.
So I'm Maxine. I just graduated from Binghamton University with a degree in sociology and concentration in pre-medical studies. The ultimate goal is to go to medical school. I am currently working through the hiring process to get hired with Mohawk Ambulance to work as an EMT. I just recently got certified. I am also going to be working with the youth here at Westminster this summer, doing fun projects and going on fun trips. I am also working for Smith Park or Camp Wawasegoya, where I worked as a camp counselor for the last few years, and some of our youth are now going to be campers there. So it's a little life update. But yeah, my sense of purpose used to be you have to go to medical school by the time you're 22 and then be a resident by the time you're 26 and do this and do this. But now I'm just like, I know my purpose is to help people. That's what I know it is. So whether that's me being in an ER or an OR or on an ambulance or even just hanging out with the youth for the rest of my life, I'm cool with that because I know that's what my purpose is to just help people and interact with people and use the skills that I've been given to do that.
Yeah, I think one thing I noticed was, or one thing I was thinking about was the fear that everyone in the boat must have felt as they were kind of being battered by the storm and the boat was being swamped. Um, and meanwhile, Jesus was just in the back of the boat asleep, very calm. And so I think it kind of reflected on like a lesson I've heard throughout my life from lots of people where sometimes when your life is very tumultuous and you're struggling with things or you're fearful, it can often be hard to reach out and ask for help. But as this passage shows, when you do that, even if like I'm sure they did not want to disturb him as he was sleeping, but when you do that, people are happy to help you, and you can often be surprised by the result. Well, I think one great example is always just your parents, and like my parents especially. Like whenever I've struggled with something, whether it be school or something related to life, I always don't hesitate to reach out to them for help. And so I think that's always useful. But I think there's definitely other times when it's been harder to reach out. That's a very trivial example is getting a bad grade and having to like reach out to the teacher and ask for assistance in some way to help you. So you can, that's always hard, but it pays off usually when you reach out in that time of struggle. I think that people have their own lives to live and they're always busy. And for example, he was asleep in this passage. And so that kind of adds to that whole thing where it makes it even harder sometimes to reach out to someone that you're maybe not as close with. But it's definitely something that if you're struggling, you should not hesitate to do. Yeah, so when I moved home from college, I remember me and my roommates all had to move out of our house. We got like a notice to vacate from the university in like 24 hours. So it was kind of similar to this passage in the sense that it was like a crazy windstorm. We had to get everything out of the house. We had to rent a storage unit. We had to get a U-Haul. And we had to pack everything up. There's a picture of our whole house, pretty much everything, just on our front lawn right before we put in the U-Haul. And it kind of encompasses the chaotic nature of having to leave school in the middle of a pandemic. When things got chaotic, one thing I definitely went back to was like my community at school and my community at home. And especially I played ice hockey growing up. And so I played on the club hockey team at Brown. And so that was always one escape that I think a lot of the club hockey players had, where we could kind of go out, skate, play games, play practice. And it would be something where you could separate yourself from like school and all of that chaos and calm down and like recenter yourself. Throughout my life, exercise and sports and kind of interacting with other groups of people like friends or teammates has always been one thing that I used to get through chaotic times. I think on like a broader sense of spirituality, I definitely get a lot of things or a lot out of being with like my communities. So whether it be the hockey community, my family, my friends, my extended family, I think I get a lot of, I get rejuvenated and kind of refreshed when I'm able to interact with them.
So one thing that I noticed that caught my attention in the passage is that Jesus is still asleep while the whole storm is happening, and there's lightning and the water is crashing into the boat and everything, but and all of the disciples are running around panicked, but they have to actually wake Jesus up because he's sleeping the whole time. That part of the passage stood out to me because it's surprising that Jesus can already be so calm that it doesn't even alarm him that there's this big storm happening. And that's something I think that is kind of difficult and hard to come by, is like already going into a situation like being so calm. But I think having the kind of reassurance, like maybe he knows that he's going to be able to calm the storm and that nothing is going to go wrong. And so sort of having, or even if you don't know that, but just like having a sense that, okay, I can trust that things will probably work out, like, and being able to go into a situation knowing that rather than having to calm yourself down once you're already panicked. Yeah. And I guess ways that we can do that in our own lives. I guess building those support systems beforehand and like knowing yourself and knowing how you react in those kind of situations, like to be able to like ground yourself. Probably, yeah, I think like prayer also can be helpful for that. And like, I mean, I had my group at school that we would meet each week and like we would pray together. And that was also something that was helpful in being able to sort of like ask for guidance for the week ahead and like reflect on things that had already happened. So I have had a group on my campus that I've met with for all of college that's called The Feast, that I was sort of a leader for this year. And it's sort of mostly a Christian group, although it's also welcoming and includes people who aren't Christians. But we meet every Sunday and we have dinner, and then we have a short service that includes reading a scripture and praying together and reflecting on the scripture, sort of like we're doing now. But yeah, that has been a really good group to like keep me connected with my faith during college, and also have a group also have like a group of people to talk about things with. So.
I would have to say the part of that passage I've always found interesting is Jesus being able to sleep through a storm and having to be woken up. And yeah, that's just an interesting part for me, but I would have to say that I relate to that story a lot, especially in recent years of my life. Being a college student is a lot like, going through a storm. My whole life felt like a storm. They really say college is the best 4 years of your life, but I would also have to say it's one of the worst 4 years of your life, but in a good way, which is strange to say. But I think you learn a lot from those worst times, and just like Jesus and his disciples on the boat, they learned a lot from watching Jesus calm the storm. So it was definitely a learning experience going through that storm in my life. There are moments where I was like, oh my goodness, I'm dropping out, this is it. Especially after I've taken like an organic chemistry test or a physics test, and I'm like, wow, that was atrocious. But you just kind of have to sit back and say that test doesn't define me, and that test doesn't define my abilities to be able to do what I know I can do. And so yeah, and honestly for me, the way that I was able to cope with stuff like that is, this may sound really bad, but sometimes you just take a nap, just take a nap, and you wake up and you're like, yeah, everything's fine, everything's gonna be okay. Go get some smoothies with your friends or something, and then you just do better on the next one. And my friend likes to say, you just keep it pushing. So that's what I did. I just kept it pushing, and I graduated with a better GPA than I thought I ever would. And yeah, I did it. Yeah, to be successful, you need to know not to push yourself too far. Because if you're broken, then what was the point? While I was studying to become an EMT, the first thing they always taught us, and the first thing we always do when we arrive on scene, is BSI scene safety. So body substance isolation, and then you are the most important person. Because if you get hurt, then who's going to help the patient and who's going to help you? So you are the most important person. And I took that literally. I'm the most important person. I matter more than, that exam or that quiz. And if I'm not right mentally or physically or anything, then everything is just gone to, it wouldn't, like, what would be the point if I'm not able to see it through because I didn't know when to just calm down, relax, and just take a step back. Ever since middle school, I've been saying, I want to be a doctor, I want to do this. And then I got to college and I was like, holy crap, this is what it takes? Wow. And then I kept pushing. I was like, okay, I can totally do this. And then I'm like, wait, no, let me just rethink what I want to do. And then I graduated and I was like, yeah, totally, I can still be a doctor. And then I'm going through this application process right now and I'm like, is this really what I want? And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, yeah, this is totally what I want. So it's not really set for me, but I'm literally right now in this point in my life making the effort to say to myself that you don't need to have everything figured out. It doesn't matter if you're 22 or you're 52, it's life. Just have fun, I guess. And do what makes you happy. So that's what I've been trying to do lately, is do what makes me happy. And if that means that I have to wait another 15 years to go to medical school, then I'm fine with that. Or if I go to medical school in the fall, I'm fine with that. So yeah, just really having conversations with myself and saying, don't stress yourself, because I don't think that's what Jesus would want me to do. He might just want me to take a nap. Yeah.